An introduction to the Science of Hadith by Ibn Salah al-Shahrazuri. 577 to 643. Category 36. Contradictory Hadith. Mukhtalif al-Hadith. Only the authorities who bring together the crafts of Hadith and positive law and profoundly study the subtle shades of meaning of different Hadith can completely master the study of contradictory Hadith. Note that the Hadith mentioned in this chapter fall into two subcategories. One, it is possible to combine the two Hadith, and it is not impossible to bring out some aspect which removes their mutual negation. In that case, it is obligatory to direct one's attention to that aspect and endorse both of the Hadith. An example of this is the Hadith, "There is no contagion nor evil fortune," along with the two Hadith, "The owner of sick camels should not take his camels for watering where the owner of well camels is present," and "Flee from a leper as you would from a lion." The two views on contagion, that is, the one represented in the first Hadith and the one in the second and the third, may be combined because these illnesses are not by their nature infectious, but God, He is blessed, made a sick person with these illnesses coming into contact with a well person a means of infecting the well person with his sickness. Sometimes this fails to cause the sickness, as is the case with the rest of the causes. In the first Hadith, the Prophet, peace be upon him, refuted the belief of the ignorant that illness is contagious by nature, and for that reason he said, "Who infected the first person to have the disease?" Questioning, who infected the first? In the second, that is the latter two Hadiths, note that God, He is praised, made a contact a means of infection and warned of the harm which is likely to take place through the action of God, He is praised and exalted, where the illness occurs. Of this there are many examples in the Hadith. Ibn Qutayba's Kitab Mukhtalif al-Hadith, the book of contradictory Hadith, treats this topic. Although in a certain respect he has done a good job, he handled poorly other things which he was not up to. Others produced better and stronger works. We heard that the authority Abu Bakr Muhammad ibn Ishaq ibn Khuzaymah said, "I am not aware that two genuinely antithetical mutadadain hadith with sound isnads were related from the Messenger of God. Whoever has seemingly contradictory hadith, let him bring them to me for me to harmonize." 2. The hadith are so antithetical that they cannot be combined. That takes two forms. A. It appears that one of the hadiths is abrogating and the other is abrogated. The abrogating one is acted upon and the abrogated is ignored. And B. There is no indication which hadith is the abrogating and which is the abrogated. Recourse is then made to determining which is to be preferred, and the more preferred and better established is the one to be put into practice. The determination of preference may be made, for instance, on the basis of one of the hadith having a greater number of transmitters, or on the basis of the characteristics of the transmitters. There are 50 or more ways of determining preference, and the task of detailing them is best left for another place. God knows best. Category 37. Additions to cohesive isnads. Ma'rifat al-mazid fi muttasil al-asanid. An example of this hadith related from Abdullah ibn Mubarak. He said, Sufyan informed us from Abdurrahman ibn Yazid bin Jabir. He said, Busr ibn Ubaidullah transmitted to me. He said, I heard Abu Idris saying, I heard Wathila bin al-Asqa saying, I heard Abu Marthad al-Ghanawi saying, I heard the Messenger of God saying, do not sit on graves and do not pray towards them. The mention of Sufyan in this isnad is an addition and a mistake, just as the mention of Abu Idris is. The mistake in mentioning Sufyan was made by someone after Ibn al-Mubarak, because a number of reliable transmitters related it from Ibn al-Mubarak directly from Ibn Jabir himself. Some of these transmitters make explicit use of the phrase, he informed us, between them there. The mention of Abu Idris in the isnad is a mistake attributable to Ibn al-Mubarak. This is because a number of reliable transmitters related it from Ibn Jabir and they did not mention Abu Idris between Busr and Wathila. Some of them explicitly mention there the addition of Busr from Wathila. Abu Hatim al-Razi said, they hold the opinion that Ibn al-Mubarak made a mistake in this. Busr often transmits from Abu Idris. Ibn al-Mubarak erred when he supposed that this was something that was related from Abu Idris from Wathila. Indeed, Busr heard this hadith directly from Wathila himself. The expert al-Khatib has composed a book on this category, which he called Kitab Tamyiz al-Mazid fi Muttasil al-Asanid. detecting additions in cohesive isnads. There is some doubt regarding much of what he discussed. This is because an isnad lacking the additional transmitter could be judged to contain looseness, irsal, if the transmission is marked by the word from, an. Furthermore, the isnad in which the additional transmitter is mentioned, the hadith should be regarded as defective, mu'allal, in accordance to that which is known about the category of the defective hadith, as will be mentioned, God willing, in the following category. If there is a clear statement of audition or informing, as in the example we gave above, it is possible that the transmitter heard it from someone else from his alleged teacher, and then heard it directly from the teacher himself. So it may be that Busr heard this hadith from Abu Idris from Wathila, and then he met Wathila and heard it directly from him. Something like this is made explicit in other instances. This applies unless an indication is found which shows that this is a mistake along the lines of what Abu Hatim mentioned in the above example. The obvious course of action for someone to whom something like that has occurred would be to mention the two auditions, that is, the audition directly from the teacher and the one from an intermediary from the teacher, when he says nothing of this kind. We interpret it as the aforementioned kind of addition. God knows best. Stay tuned for category 38. In fact, 38 is short, so we will read it now. Hadith from hidden looseness, Ma'rifat al-Marasil al-Khaffi irsaluha. This is an important and extremely useful category which is mastered through collecting many hadith and gathering their lines of transmission in combination with a good deal of experience. The expert al-Khatib wrote Kitab al-Tafsil li Mubham al-Marasil, clarification of obscure loose hadith about it. He mentioned in this regard there are hadith recognized as loose through the knowledge that a transmitter in this isnad did not hear or meet his alleged teacher. This is the case with the hadith related from Awam ibn al-Hawshab from Abdullah ibn Abi Awfa, in which he said, when Bilal said, "It is time to pray," the Prophet, peace be upon him, rose and said, "God is great." It is related that Ahmed ibn Hanbal said regarding it, Al-Awam did not meet Ibn Abi Awfa. Another kind is the hadith judged to be loose due to its appearance in another line of transmission, with the addition of one individual or more in the spot where the looseness is alleged to be. An example is the hadith mentioned in category 10 from Abdul Razak ibn Hammam, from Sufyan al-Thawri, from Abu Ishaq Sulaiman ibn Abi Sulaiman al-Shaybani. Interruption and looseness were judged to exist between Abdul Razak and al-Thawri, because it is related that Abdul Razak said, An-Nu'man ibn Abi Shayba al-Janadi transmitted to me from Thawri from Abu Ishaq. It is also judged to be loose between Thawri and Abu Ishaq, because the same hadith is also related from Thawri from Sharik bin Abdullah al-Nakhai from Abu Ishaq. This category and the preceding one are in opposition, because each of them can be raised in as objection against the other, as was indicated above, and God knows best. Stay tuned for the lengthy category 39.